How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Crugg here, and I am back finally after months with a brand new video. Now listen guys, I know I uploaded my first and only video, almost 4 months ago, and a few of you guys who might have watched, the 4 people who watched, might be wondering, oh well, where did Crugg go? He made one video, it was alright. Well, where did he go? Well, I'm going to tell you, I tried to make this channel at a very bad point in my life. I was going through a lot of stuff, but I'm back now, and I'm feeling, the urge to, tell some more stories about myself, because I got some banger stories, I got some good ones. But before we get right into this story, I'm going to take a quick bong rip off of the Blueberry Kush, because this is some good stuff. I got it from my cuzzo, and I'm going to smoke just a little bit of this before we tell today's story. That Blueberry Kush hits heavy. Anyways, now we are getting into today's story. The time I got scammed by the plug. At least the time that sticks out the most to me, because it's kind of funny how it happened, right? Now, this goes back to when I was about 14 years old, right? When I first started really getting into smoking regularly, because I realized the benefits of it, It makes you sleep real good, and it makes you relax, So I was like, you know what, man? I haven't smoked in about a week. Let me go see if I can cop myself in a little eighth, you know what I'm saying? Let me just get myself a little eighth, Because back when you're 14 years old, an eighth goes a long way. And, when you're 14, you have opportunities to make a little bit of money here and there if you're smart. 20 bucks for an eighth. That's the going rate in upstate here. So, you can find a way to make 20 bucks. Obviously, I'm not going to ask my parent, or my grandfather, I should say, because I lived with him at the time. I wasn't going to ask my grandfather and say, hey, Grandpa, can I get 20 bucks? Oh, what for? Marijuana. He's going to be like, hell no. So, even though he knew I smoked, he's not going to be the one to finance it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knew I smoked, and his kind of rule was, only smoke in the house. And, because he's like, his logic was, if I'm going to get stoned and baked, it better be at home so I don't do nothing stupid or get myself in any trouble or, get myself hurt while crossing the street and get hit by a car or something. So that was his logic, right? So I'm like, alright, let me find a way to make 20 bucks, So I'm hustling all day. I got up at like 6 a.m. with this idea, So I'm like, alright, let me try and make some money. I went into our little basement because our apartment actually had basement access. So I go into our basement. We got a bunch of bottles and cans lying down there, and in New York State, you can take that to a bottle and can redemption center and get 5 cents per bottle and can if it has the New York State redemption thing on it. So we got like 4 bags, and a large trash bag can have easily like $3-4 in it. And when you're like 14 years old and you need to make a little bit of money, it's not bad, especially when the bottle and can place is only a mile away from you. And you're in a city, so all it takes is just walking a sidewalk. But I used to cut down an arterial so I could get there faster, right? But I digress, right? So I do that. I scrounge up any loose bills I have, in my room, whatever. And I finally come up with 40. I didn't just make 20, I made 40 just in case I wanted to get double, right? So I call one of my guys and I'm like, yo, do you have an eighth I can get off you, or maybe a quarter? I was about to do a quarter for 40, which is a lot of people will do a quarter for 30 most of the time, because when you're buying weed, it gets a little cheaper the more you buy. Like if you compare up the price of a zip for about 180 bucks if you know some good people, and compare that to an eighth. A zip is an ounce, by the way. So if you have an ounce and you convert that to eighths, that's $20 an eighth, right? And if you do the math, an ounce is 8/8. So that's 20 times 8. That's $160, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can, but a lot of people will upsell, you know what I mean? They'll upcharge for that, but I digress, right? So I call my guy, and I'm like, yo, can I get some weed? And he said, I actually don't got any. I just smoked my last blunt, but I know a guy you could buy some off of. He's a real cool dude. He's like 30-something. And I'm like, okay, I don't like buying weed off of people who are over twice my age, because remember, I'm only 14, but fuck it, apparently the guy had good stuff. So, he gives me his phone number, and, he told him about me and said, yo, my homie wants to buy an eighth off you, let him, just whatever, So, I eventually call him, we text first, say, hey, is this, so-and-so, and he's like, yeah, is this so-and-so, and I was like, yeah, it's me. And then we eventually call, and he's like, yo, do you want to meet me at the Speedway parking lot in the back, and I'll sell you this eighth? And I was like, sure, we can do that, right? So I get to the Speedway, right, because it's only down the street, right? It's a 10-minute walk, right? I get there. This motherfucker has me sitting there for 45 minutes until he finally pulls up. So it took me an hour to get this eighth off of him. And you know what he said? He said, "Oh, I'm selling this eighth for $35 because this is some stuff from California. It's imported. This is some Gorilla Glue from California." And you know, me being the dumbass I am, you know, I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be some good stuff." I looked at the nugs, and they looked real nice. They looked great, right? And then I give him the money, and I walk home. And now you're probably thinking, "Well, Krug, what's the matter? It sounds like you got some good weed." Oh, I haven't gotten into the real details of it yet. Now, keep in mind, I didn't have a very high tolerance at the age of 14. My tolerance started getting, you know, pretty heavy at around 16, 17, right? But I digress. My tolerance wasn't that high, right? I have this little bowl, you know, this little pipe. So I grind up my weed. I put it in there, you know. I light it. I'm taking a few puffs. And I'm hitting it, right? I'm hitting that shit. I'm not getting high at all. I'm not getting baked at all. I smoked the entire eighth in just a few hours, right? I'm not high at all. So I call my guy. And, well, actually, first, before I do that, I try and call the guy that I bought it from. My number's blocked. So I'm like, what the fuck, you know? Did I just get scammed? Well, I didn't think, did I just get scammed? I knew I got scammed. I just didn't want to accept it. I called my homeboy, who I, you know, got the contact from, the connect from, and I said to him, "Yo, I think your guy just scammed me." And he said, "What do you mean, bro?" I said, "Dude, I just bought an eighth off of him for $35. And he said, whoa, he charged you $35 for an eighth? And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Dude, he only charges me $15. And I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I said, "Oh, it gets worse though, my man. I didn't even get high from it." He said, "Wait a minute. Dude, he sold you CBD." And I said, what do you mean CBD? He said, "Dude, CBD, that bullshit hemp stuff that doesn't even get you high." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? It looked just like weed. What do you mean?" He said, "Dude, CBD will do that." And I didn't know this at the time, but high quality CBD bud, you can get like an ounce of it. You could have at the time. You could get an ounce of CBD bud on the internet for like $60. And this dude was buying ounces of fucking CBD bud and then flipping them on the street and scamming people. But he wouldn't do it to like his friends or whatever. He would just do it to like people he didn't really care for or know too well. And I realized it, and I was like, "Dude, what the fuck?" So I asked my homeboy, "Yo, do you know where he lives?" And he said, "Well, you gonna rob the motherfucker or kill him?" I said, "No, what the fuck? I'm not some demented animal." And he's like, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, I'm just gonna fuck with his car." He said, "Oh, dude, he loves that car." And I said, "Yeah, I know, dude. It was a fucking modded out Honda Civic." And he said, "Yeah, it is." And I knew it was modded out, even though I didn't know shit about cars. I mean, dude, look at the spoiler. Motherfucker, I play GTA 5. I know that shit ain't stock. But I digress, you know. So he tells me the name, you know, not the name of the guy. I already knew the name. I'm not going to name drop him, right? But he tells me the name of the guy, or not the name of the guy, the address of the guy. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, how can I mess with this guy? Well, there's a very cheap way to fuck with someone's car without it even being able to be proven that it was you, right? That did it. Like, you can't even prove that anything happened to the car like this, right? So here's what you do, right? Or here's what I did. I don't encourage you to do this, by the way. So here's what I did. I went back to that Speedway where I bought that weed from him, right? I got one of those, like, liter bottles of fucking Mountain Dew. They're, like, real tall, skinny bottles, right? And then I got myself 2 monsters, right? So I'm walking towards the guy's house. He's far away. Not far away, but he's like 2.5 miles away from my place. And the Speedway was kind of out of the way. So I had to, you know, because there wasn't a gas station on the way to his place, right? Or a store. So I was just like, fuck it, you know, I'll just stop at Speedway and then, you know, whatever. So I'm walking to his place. I drank 1 monster first, wait a couple minutes, drank the Mountain Dew. And then right as I get to the corner leading to his street, right, I chug that final monster. Now you're thinking, Krug, what the fuck does this have to do with you fucking with his car? Well, I'm about to tell you. Now, at this time, it was probably about 8 o'clock at night, right? So he's probably passed out because this dude was up early as fuck too, apparently. I'm pretty sure he was a tweaker, so I think he just got done with a bender and just, like, passed out or whatever, right? So I'm fucking going up to his car. It's dark as fuck out. I'm masked up and gloved up. I was 14, but I was still smart as shit. So I get masked up and gloved up, and I go to his car. I flip open the gas lid, take the cap off, and then I pull my pants down just a little bit below the waistline, pull my dick out, and I piss in that motherfucker's car's gas tank, right? Because I knew this much, right? Because my grandpa told me something. Any large amounts of non-gasoline fucking shit in a fucking gas tank will fuck with the fuel pump. Whether it's water, like 2 liters of soda, whatever, it will fuck with the fuel pump real bad. So I figured, well, I'll just piss in it. That's more disrespectful. If you take a gallon of fucking water and put it in someone's gas tank, sure, that's gonna fuck with their shit a bit, you know, whatever, right? And that's gonna fuck with their shit pretty bad. But I feel like if you piss in their gas tank after doing like drinking that amount of liquid like I did, it's even more disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, who's gonna do that besides a crazy motherfucker? You know? And I was a crazy motherfucker at that age. I was pissed about it, and I wanted vengeance. I was so pissed off about getting scammed of that eighth. He wanted 35 for an eighth, and I thought, you know, if this is some good weed, it might be worth it. I might come back next time if it's some good weed. And here's the thing. If he sold me some good stuff that actually got me really, really, really fucking high, and it was some imported stuff, then it would have been like, you know, whatever. I will buy from him occasionally if it was like some good stuff, some good weed. But it wasn't. He scammed me. And I would have been willing to do business with him again in the future. But guess what? He ruined that opportunity. Because even though I'm only buying an eighth, a quarter, maybe even a half ounce at a time, I'm a repeat buyer. You're going to make consistent money if you're selling weed to me. You know, and I'm fair with negotiation, you know, but you got to be fair with me with negotiation sometimes too, you know what I'm saying? That's just how I roll, though. I don't know how you guys operate on that, but yeah, that's the story about the time I got scammed by the plug, and I got my get back. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I'm hoping to try and get a double upload for today, because as I'm currently recording this, I believe it's about 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe 6:30. So I'm going to try and get this uploaded by about 8 to 10 o'clock, and then try and get another double upload done today at around 4 to 8 p.m. EST. I can't guarantee I'm going to do that, but anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's story, and I'll see you guys all later. Bye-bye.